Yo, what's going on, you guys? Cody here. We're back with another video, and in this video we're going to be reacting to the Fortnite storyline explained. Pretty much it covers from season 1, chapter 1 all the way up to this season, and explains in detail the whole story, stuff you knew, stuff you didn't know, and stuff you thought you knew. But before we hop in the video, as always, make sure to leave a like on the video, sub if you're not already subscribed, head on over to the item shop, and if you purchase anything from the item shop, from the battle pass, skins, packs, everything, make sure to use supporter creator code Hey It's Coda in the Fortnite item shop. Guys, we're at 88% payout, which means if I hit 100, I get to keep my creator code. If not, then I have to restart. So hopefully everybody that sees this video will go ahead and smash Hey It's Coda in the supporter creator code, and we can reach out 100. Let's jump in the video.
Fortnite has been out for 4 years, and yet some people still don't know the greatest part about it. Today, I'm going to be explaining the entire Fortnite storyline from Season 1, Chapter 1, all the way to Chapter 3, Season 1. Before I do that though, make sure to drop a like on the video and subscribe so you don't miss out on future content. Back in 2017 when Season 1 was out, there really wasn't a storyline. First 2 seasons of Fortnite just consisted of map changes and weapon changes. I think it was just a time for everyone to figure out how to play the game. However, whenever Season 3 Chapter 1 rolled around, that's when the storyline really started. One day, a dim blue light appeared in the sky, and no one really knew what it was. Right. Observation camps were set around all around the map, and eventually, the bad news struck. It was a comet that was coming for the island. Not too long before May of 2018, meteors started to strike the surface of the map. This caused temporary damage to structures and was the beginning to something that would change everything. At the start of Season 4, the meteor actually struck the island and destroyed factories and half of Dusty Depot. Smaller shards of the comet crashed into different areas, creating craters near Fatal Fields, Snobby Shores, the motel.
With as many players as Fortnite has, what I would really love for them to do, if the storyline ever comes to an end, because, I mean, they could keep it going for a while. I think, because you have like 100 players in a match and so many matches at the same time, dude. You have so many people playing. I think they should bring the old map back, like on a Call of Duty kind of thing, and you could pick whether you want to play the Season 1 map or the Season 2 map, or Chapter 1, Chapter 2, whatever. If you want to play on the Chapter 1 map or if you want to play on the Chapter 2 map. I think that would be the best thing. Like, that would be literally insane. Like, that would be awesome. I don't know. Just some food for thought. But I remember this event because the meteor hit one of my favorite landing spots. Well, it hit the sign. I'm not sure if it completely damaged it or not, but motel, OG motel, favorite. Go OG motel, loot there, hit the house in the back of it, head over towards Haunted Hills. That was it.
Towers, dirt track, and even risky reels. Also, hop rocks started to appear on the map. These objects held strange powers, and when you consume them, you would have low gravity. With all of this buzz surrounding the Fortnite storyline at the time, a movie was in the works over at Moisty Myers. The movie was focused on the meteor shower and how it led to the escape of Omega. Omega then went on to build an army of robots at the newly built villain lair that combated his arch nemesis, which was Carbide. While all of that was going on, a large research facility was being built at Dusty Divot, where they began excavating the large comet that crashed. The so-called government of Chapter 1 also patched up craters around the island, as well as removing hot rocks from them, and they used these hot rocks to fuel a rocket. During this time, the government was able to excavate the comet, and inside of it was revealed to be a large space pod containing an alien-like entity known as the Visitor. So the Visitor escaped the pod with a mission, and he headed to the villain lair. His true intentions would be unknown for a long time. At the villain lair, he began tampering with the rocket. On June 30th, 2018, the Visitor launched the rocket. Its engine crashed at Anarchy Acres, and the rocket began to fall back down, pointing lasers at tilted towers. Shortly after that, a rift appeared and swallowed the rocket. Eventually, it would create a huge rift that basically meant the beginning of worlds colliding. A few days after the event, rifts started to appear, and they started to swallow items around the map. At the beginning of Season 5, Moisty Mire became a large desert biome as it had been warped by rifts. The prison was also destroyed, and a city called Paradise Palms took its place. Anarchy was replaced by Lazy Links, and the crack in the sky started spitting out lightning in the desert as it slowly started to shrink and turn purple on a silent hill of cactus. The crack consistently shot lightning at each individual cacti on the hill, and the last bolt of lightning actually created Kevin the Cube, and that caused the crack to vanish from the sky. Throughout Season 5, the cube rolled around the map and eventually found its way to Loot Lake. At the start of Chapter 1, Season 6, the cube returned from the sinking event and turned the Loot Lake into a floating island. The 7 ruins that the cube created blew up, creating corrupted areas. While that happened, the floating island traveled across the map and visited all these corrupted areas. A few days after Loot Lake visited all 7 ruins, Loot Lake turned into Leaky Lake after the butterfly event, which took place on November 4th, 2018. In this butterfly event, the cube would be damaged after a small explosion, and all the players were transported to a strange dimension known as the In-Between. And that's where the butterfly appeared. Yeah. After the event, nothing else happened in Season 6. In Season 7, the large iceberg added a large new snow biome into the island. Polar Peak ended up melting after a few weeks, revealing a town around the castle. That town actually held an Ice King and a prisoner. The Ice King was someone that desired power and wanted to take over the entire island because he knew a strange power existed within it. On January 15, 2019, the Ice King, along with a piece of the cube inside it, appeared over Polar Peak. After a few days, the sphere exploded, releasing the Ice King. The Ice King used a power from the cube shard to create a large blizzard version of himself. He summoned a large wave of snow that would cover the entire island. Earthquakes began to happen consistently. They caused multiple cracks around the island and even collapsed a new building in Tilted Towers. Yeah. At the start of Season 8, the prisoner from Polar Peak actually used his power to turn Wailing Woods into a large jungle biome, which also included the volcano. This is when the quote-unquote government returned and started to excavate digging sites. They excavated a hole with skulls near Paradise, they digged up a hole near Loot Lake, and they hit metal, and they also found one that ended up just being lava. The government of Chapter 1 also created a base near Loot Lake that was the hub for them, and they put that there because that's where the vault was at the time, and they didn't know what was in that vault. Eventually, though, the vault would activate and the players around the vault could enter inside. Inside of the vault was actually the In-Between that we saw in Season 6. During the unvaulting event, we actually unvaulted the drum gun. But in response to that unvaulting event, the volcano exploded and Retail Row, Tilted Towers, and Polar Peak all got hit and partially destroyed. When Season 9 rolled around, it was very interesting because it was based in the future. The remains of Tilted Towers and Retail Row were replaced by Neo Tilted and Mega Mall. The volcano was also replaced by Pressure Plant by the government. Also, the technology in Season 9 was all powered by the Vault. It powered Neo Tilted and the Slipstreams. This is also the season where we found out that the Vault wasn't just a place where they stored weapons. It was also home of the Zero Point. A few weeks after we found that out, Polar Peak slowly collapsed and an incredibly large one-eyed monster came out of it. Sightings of the monster were occasionally seen. Not too long after its escape, though, it attacked a building in Snobby Shores that was defending Viking Mountain. It then attacked a modern building in Pleasant Park. In preparation for another attack, the government of Chapter 1 started to build a monster robot at Pressure Plant. Eventually, we would witness the fight against Monster and the robot, which I think will go down as a top 5 event of all time. Afterwards, the mecha shot into space and was never seen again. The Zero Point was left and exposed, and it started to crack and destabilize.
Very true.
Season X is arguably the best storyline-based season, in my opinion. At the start of it, the Zero Point actually blew up and reverted Dusty Divot back in the Dusty Depot. The Visitor returned to the meteor and took control of Dusty Depot, making it his home while creating a Rift Beacon, which was a device used to create rift zones from alternate worlds. After using the Rift Beacon, it transformed Neo Tilted into Tilted Town and Mega Mall back into Retail Row. It also turned the place next to Paradise Palms into Pandora, and after that, it turned Frozen Greasy into Taco Time version of Greasy, then it turned Paradise Palms into Moisty Palms. Lastly, it turned Tilted Town later on in the season into Gotham City, which is personally one of my favorite locations of all time. On October 13th, the rocket that the Visitor had been working on in Dusty Depot was launched. The rocket collided with the Nexus, creating a giant shockwave. Then after that, it hit another rift and then collided with the Zero Point, which caused the black hole. Chapter 2, Season 1 was probably the most
that pretty much wiped out the whole thing, the whole map,
to ever exist. On this island, we had a faction called Ego and Alter who were in constant battles with each other. The leader of Alter, which was Chaos Agent, was originally a fictional character from a movie called The Final Reckoning, which was seen in Gotham City. He owned Dirty Docks and Steamy Stacks while he was here. Originally, Ego and Alter didn't know about each other. Ego was originally happy on the island, and then they discovered a large business going down in Dirty Docks, featuring people that looked similar to them. Those people were Alter. They began to have multiple encounters with each other, but they would always escape with boats. Even though they escaped every time, Chaos Agent was actually planning in the shadows with the goal of taking over the island. At the start of Season 2, Chapter 2, the storyline really started to take off. The constant war between Ego, which was at this point known as Ghost, and Alter would continue, but a mysterious figure known as Midas would join Ghost. Ghost would also have many spy locations around the map, such as the Grotto, the Rig, etc. Throughout Chapter 2, Season 2, Ghost would work on creating a Doomsday device, as this would be used in the end of season event. On June 15, 2020, the device was ready to launch. The storm began to have multiple problems, and whenever the Doomsday device was activated, the storm surrounded the agency. When it seemed the storm was pushed back and the loop was stopped, all of a sudden the storm suddenly turned into a large tsunami.
So I heard that Midas was actually a good guy who was trying to break us out of the loop that we were in to take us back. And that's what his device was to push the storm back, to break it, to get us out of the loop or whatever we were in. So Midas was a good guy?
And that's how Chapter 2 Season 3 was a flooded island. At the end of the season, Midas gave his team to Jules, his daughter, and she became the leader of Shadow. 2 days after the Doomsday event, the tsunami finally flooded the map, and that's when Season 3 began. Several parts of the map were flooded and destroyed, however, certain parts survived and adapted to the flood, such as Pleasant Park. Although it seemed peaceful, Shadow had control of the island, rebuilding the agency into the Authority, which was then led by the new Shadow leader, Midas' daughter. As time passed in Chapter 2, Season 3, a spaceship appeared onto the island, crashing into the water. It was eventually above the water when the level dropped. It looked like the astronaut controlling the spaceship had the goal to explore a new planet, however, they unexpectedly crashed. After the astronaut was able to exit the ship, he learned that it was damaged. However, he was able to find the missing parts near the crash and eventually repair it. He launched the spaceship again and went through rifts, and this caused rifts to reappear again. The spaceship then returned behind Misty Meadows, and the astronaut eventually left the spaceship on the mountain and went to go find his partner from the crash. As time went on, nothing special happened. Ghost and Shadow continued on. Each side was willing to fight even if both sides would come to an end. Later on in the season, Marvel characters would start to arrive on the map in preparation for Season 4. On August 27, 2020, sometime after the Marvel characters quickly arrived, they lost their memories. After losing their memories, they seemed to lose most of the powers, but Thor knew he had to remember his purpose for bringing all the heroes to this island. All the characters set out on their journeys to awaken themselves again so they could regain their powers and defend the reality from the threat that was coming, and that threat was none other than Galactus. Dr. Doom, from Marvel character with a better memory and the power that he had left, was able to take over Pleasant Park and turn it into his home, which he called Doom's Domain. Jennifer Walters was able to find a place for herself on the island, and Tony Stark found his home, which ended up being Stark Industries. As all the heroes began to awaken and regain their powers, they began to prepare for the battle. Vandertech asked Tony Stark to upgrade their battle bus in addition to prepare for Galactus. After everyone was prepared, the only thing left to do was wait for Galactus to arrive. On December 1st, the countdown would finish, and Galactus rose up and got as close to the island as he could. As we all know, during the event we used Tony Stark battle buses to eventually defeat Galactus, and we rifted him to a different dimension, successfully saving reality. In the aftermath of the battle to save reality, Agent Jones woke up at his office and a mysterious woman was on the phone. This woman told him that although the Zero Point is not destroyed, it is still exposed and unstable. So as Season 5 began, Agent Jones' task was to go into the loop and reseal the bridge, stabilize the Zero Point, and not let anyone escape the loop. To do this, he dove into the Zero Point and got the best hunters throughout the galaxy to help him. At the time of the Chapter 2 Season 4 Battle Pass trailer, he found 7 promising recruits, including Mandalorian. Later on in Season 5, these portals would pop up across the map based on which realities Jones visited. As he gathered all these hunters, the Zero Point would get more and more destabilized. It became so unstable that it started to crack more, evaporating its power. The Zero Point would get worse and worse to the point to where the portals also began to destabilize along with the Zero Point. After watching the Zero Point destabilize and realizing that the IO did nothing to stop it, Jones realized that he had to do something, even if it meant going against his boss, which was Dr. Sloan. The first part of his plan was to attempt to access the restricted files somehow related to the 7. When Jones attempted to get these files, he realized that he didn't have the credentials anymore, meaning he couldn't get the files he needed. If he couldn't have access to the files, he knew there was only one thing that he could do, and that was to steal them. On March 16th, Jones rode on top of the battle bus over the island listening to his boss Dr. Sloan, and she ordered him to save himself, but Jones betrayed Sloan and destroyed the earpiece. He believed that the 7 was the only thing that could save reality as long as he was able to work with them. After betraying Sloan, he ran over to the Zero Point where the Foundation would crash, and the Foundation came out to attack Jonesy and kill him, but before he could, Jonesy yelled out that I can get you to the sisters in Geno, and this made the Foundation want to work with Jonesy. The Foundation ended up helping Jonesy, and the Zero Point eventually exploded, but the Foundation was able to contain the blast. From the effects of the Zero Point's reality waves, a large portion of the island was turned into a primal biome. In Chapter 2, Season 7, an alien invasion began. At the beginning of the season, we saw an alien mothership abduct the Spire from the map. As a result, alien invaders took over the Fortnite island. Players could now battle both alien and IO agents across the map. New alien technology and vehicles also made their way to the island. In preparation to battle the aliens, Sloan built IO bases all over the island. She even built a headquarters under Corny Crops where they would study the mothership. Throughout the season, the mothership would randomly abduct places such as Slurpy Swamps. Eventually, Dr. Sloan would find out that someone in the IO was betraying her. They were sending information to the aliens about the IO. That betrayer was actually Maven. Instead of punishing Maven, Sloan just gave her fake information to give to the aliens. Throughout the season at Corny Crops, Sloan was actually building a huge bomb in the IO headquarters. This is how Sloan defeated the aliens. In Operation Skyfire, the aliens abducted Corny Crops just as Sloan predicted, and then Sloan was ready to set off the bombs. But for some reason, the communication was cut off mid-event, and Sloan realized that she was outnumbered, so instead of saving us all, she decided to save herself and betray us. However, we ended up surviving the crash of the mothership, and then in Season 8, the cube invasion would begin due to the mothership containing all of the cubes. After Operation Skyfire, all the cubes on the island formed this big pyramid in the middle of the map. That's where the Cube Queen would emerge. She then would summon caretakers to aid the Sideways monsters, which were the monsters that walked around during Season 8. Dr. Sloan and her convoy headed to the bunker near Catty Corner to open it. They revealed a secret IO base that has been locked up since the beginning of the Apollo Island. The island started to destabilize as corruption started to spread from the pyramid. The Imagine Order organization began constructing a fort near Pleasant Park as the last hope of saving Apollo Island. Within the next week, the base was finally constructed and a 10-day countdown began. When the countdown reached 0, the Cube Queen used the pyramid to open a rift, revealing several motherships. A fleet of abductors arrived and attacked the loopers at Guava Fort. They ended up breaking the shield produced by the rebooted cube. A horde of caretakers were summoned and attacked the loopers as well. An abductor used a beam to destroy the rebooted cube. Several loopers were eliminated during battle, though some escaped through the hatch leading to the bridge. This led us to the cutscene inside the IO base, where it was revealed that Agent Jones has been captured by Dr. Sloan and they plan to execute him for treason. Before she could do that though, the Foundation arrived, killing several IO guards. Sloan was surprised because she thought the Foundation died during the Zero Crisis finale event. After that, the Visitor flew down with the scientists and they followed the loopers into the bunker after blowing up some caretakers with the grenade-like bombs. The scientists would lead the players through the IO base as the island began to vertically rotate and the bridge started to collapse. The Cube Queen would go underwater and the pyramid was completely submerged once the island would reach a 90-degree tilt. That closed the portals to the Sideways and the remaining abductors are destroyed by the impact of Artemis led into tsunami, which led into an unplayable period informally known as downtime. After 18 hours, the player would get washed up into the new island and the new chapter began. The looper then got casted away into a small isle east of the sanctuary. The looper would sit by the fire and then the Foundation would explain to the looper that the IO still had the possession of the Zero Point and there's still a threat of a last reality. He continues to tell them that the IO keeps exploiting the Zero Point and everything is in danger. Although the 7 are prepared, the IO is a step ahead. They are drilling their way to the flip side. We really haven't figured out anything other than this for Chapter 3. This video took me so long to make, the script itself took 2 days, and I would love for you guys to use code RELATES in the item shop to support me. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe, like, turn on post notifications, and I will see you guys in the next one.
It's crazy.